Level 1, the first million. The wire clears at 2:47 a.m. You stare at your phone in the dark. $100,000. After taxes, after the lawyer, after the accountant who charged you $4,800 to form the Delaware LLC, you didn't fully understand. It's real. It happened. You buy the watch first. Rolex Submariner. You've wanted it for 11 years. You put it on and take a photo in the bathroom mirror and you almost post it, then you do post it. You get 412 likes. You feel like you've crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. You upgrade to business class for the first time. You order the whiskey you'd normally never spend $24 on. You think about your father. You think about the apartment you grew up in. You don't have a financial advisor yet. You have a guy your college roommate recommended. He charges 1.2% AUM. You don't know what AUM means, but you sign the paperwork. You show the wealth. You are meant to show the wealth. This is level 1. The wealth is still performing for an audience, for your old neighborhood, for the ex who doubted you. The watch is real, the account balance is real, but you do not yet understand that you are the least powerful person in every room you are about to walk into. Level 2. The machine starts running. You've crossed $5 million net worth. The business is generating $2.3 million a year. You hire your first real CFO, not the guy from college, someone who has actually done this before. She costs $280,000 a year plus equity. She is worth every dollar. You form a holding company. Your attorney sets up a structure, an LLC that owns an LLC that owns your operating company. You don't totally understand why. She tells you it's for liability insulation and tax treatment. You trust her. This is the beginning of outsourcing your thinking to specialists. You stop buying things and start buying structures. You learn what a K1 is. You learn what depreciation does. Your accountant tells you that you made $2.3 million last year and owe taxes on $340,000. The rest is buried in accelerated depreciation, real estate offsets, and a solo 401k that you maxed. You are learning that the tax code is not a burden. It is an instruction manual. You move to a no-income tax state. You spend 183 days there and document it. You sell the Rolex and buy a Patek Philippe Aquanaut. Nobody outside your circle knows what it is. That's exactly why you bought it. You start meeting people who have $50 million. They are polite, but they are not interested in you. Not yet. You are still too visible, too emotional, too talkative about money. The first rule of the next level is one you haven't learned yet. The richer they are, the less they say. Level 3, the leverage. You raise your first outside capital. $8 million from a family office you found through a mutual connection, 2 meetings, and a 47-page deck you revised 19 times. They write the check with fewer questions than your bank asked when you tried to open a business account with $3,000 at age 22. Now you understand leverage. You have $8 million working for you that cost you nothing but equity and performance. You now have $23 million in assets. Your net worth is $11 million. The gap between assets and net worth is not a problem. It is a strategy. You begin to see people differently, not cruelly, not yet, but categorically. There are people who bring capital, people who bring deal flow, people who bring access, and people who bring none of those things. You don't cut anyone off. You simply begin to ration your time with the same discipline you once rationed your spending. You hire a personal assistant, then a second one. Your calendar is now a financial instrument. Every hour has an expected value. You stop attending events that don't meet a threshold. You stop returning calls that don't have a clear purpose. Your old friends notice. Some of them say you've changed. They are correct. But the change is not moral decay. Not yet. It is simply the beginning of operating at a different resolution. The game board has more squares now. You open your first offshore account in the Cayman Islands, legally through a fund structure managed by a licensed fiduciary. Nothing secret, everything reported. You learn that the word offshore doesn't mean what movies think it means. It means your money is working in jurisdictions where the legal and tax treatment is more favorable. It is not a crime. It is geography as strategy. Level 4, the operator. Net worth, $40 million. You have stopped saying net worth. You say exposure. As in, what's my current exposure across the portfolio? You have a family office now, a small one, 3 people, based in your home state. They manage your holdings, handle insurance, consolidate your tax returns across 7 entities, and coordinate with your estate attorney on the trust structure you built last year. You established a dynasty trust in South Dakota, where trust law is the most favorable. The trust has no sunset clause. It can hold assets for 1,000 years. Your grandchildren's grandchildren are already, technically, beneficiaries. You stop being surprised by numbers. $2 million is a rounding error on a real estate deal. $400,000 is what you spend annually on professional services. You don't feel these numbers anymore the way you used to feel a $47 dinner tab. This is not happiness. This is not unhappiness. This is calibration to a new baseline. You attend your first invitation-only conference. Not Davos, not yet, but a smaller one, 200 people in Deer Valley, Utah. The badge doesn't have your title on it, just your name. Nobody here needs to be impressed. They are evaluating each other with the quiet, methodical patience of people who have learned that enthusiasm is a tell. You meet a man who runs a $600 million hedge fund. He asks you one question in a 20-minute conversation. You will think about that question for 6 months. You are no longer performing wealth. You are deploying it. Level 5, the political layer. The family office now manages $180 million across 6 asset classes. You have 3 attorneys on retainer, one for corporate, one for estate, one who handles things that don't have a clean category. The third one costs $10 million a year. He never sends invoices. You have a standing wire instruction. You make your first significant political contribution, not to a campaign which has limits, to a 501c4 which does not. You give $3 million through a donor-advised fund that strips your name from the public record. You are not buying a politician, you are buying proximity to a policy conversation. The distinction is important legally. It becomes less important morally, but you don't think in those terms anymore. You are invited to participate in a working group that is shaping the language of an infrastructure bill. There are 7 people in the room. 3 of them have names the public would recognize. You do not. That is the point. You now understand that visible power is diminished power. A senator is powerful. The person who controls what a senator fears is more powerful. Do you have begun moving toward that second position? You have not spoken to your brother in 4 months, not because of a fight, because the conversation has nowhere useful to go. This is not something you feel acutely. It is something you note, clinically, the way you note an underperforming position. Your therapist, the one you see every 2 weeks in a private practice with no waiting room and no other patients, tells you that you are exhibiting signs of emotional compression. You find this interesting as a data point. Level 6, the architect. You are no longer a person who makes investments. You are a person who shapes the conditions under which other people make investments. Net worth is a meaningless term now. Your assets are held across 43 entities. You don't own a home. A trust does. You don't own the aircraft. An aviation LLC in Delaware does, which is leased to a management company in Nevada, which you control through a holding structure in the Cayman Islands. You are invisible on paper. Completely invisible. You have a security team, not bodyguards. A private intelligence firm that monitors threat vectors, conducts background screenings on anyone entering your professional orbit, and provides weekly briefs on geopolitical risks affecting your holdings. They cost $4.2 million annually. You consider them infrastructure. A sovereign wealth fund, one of the Gulf states, wants to co-invest in a deal you're leading. The deal is $2.1 billion. Your equity check is $180 million. The SWF brings $900 million. The rest is institutional debt, arranged through a bank relationship you've maintained for 9 years. You will spend 4 days on this deal this year. The rest is handled. You are at Davos. Your badge color grants access to the private sessions, not the public forums. The real Davos is not the panels. It is the dinners, the bilateral meetings, the 20-minute conversations in hallways that reshape capital flows. You shake hands with a head of state. You are polite. You have nothing to offer them that they don't already know they need from you. Level 7, the ghost. Your name is not on anything, not a building, not a fund, not a foundation that bears your identity. Your philanthropic work moves through intermediary vehicles that fund intermediary vehicles. The outcomes are real. The trail ends. You have not been photographed publicly in 3 years. Not because you are hiding, because you have arranged your life so that public presence serves no function. There is nobody left to impress. There is nothing left to prove. The family office now employs 31 people and manages $3.8 billion. It operates like a small sovereign institution, with a CIO, a COO, a legal team, a tax team, a macro research desk, and a separate team dedicated exclusively to political and regulatory intelligence. The family office has more analytical capability than most government agencies in mid-sized nations. Your children attend schools where the other parents are at this level or approaching it. They are learning things you had to figure out at 40. How to read a room, how to say nothing and mean everything, how to evaluate whether someone is offering you a deal or asking for access. The education is not in the curriculum, it is in the culture. You have not felt genuine surprise in a long time. Not because life is dull, because your threat assessment is so refined, your information access so complete, that almost nothing unfolds without you having modeled it in advance. This is the cost of level 7. Not loss of money, not loss of freedom, loss of the capacity to be caught off guard, loss of the experience of not knowing what happens next. You barely remember what that felt like. Level 8. The institution. There is no meeting this morning. There was no meeting yesterday. The decisions were made at a level below you, by people you selected and trained and trust. You have built systems that make decisions. You are no longer a decision maker. You are the environment in which decisions are made. Your holdings span 6 continents. The number is not something you track daily. Quarterly reports come to you in a 2-page summary. If something requires your attention, the head of the family office will tell you. He has called you directly 3 times in the past 2 years. Your net worth, if you were to liquidate everything, is somewhere between $14 billion and $22 billion. The range exists because some of what you hold cannot be valued by a spreadsheet. Relationships, information, access to people who control access to people. These don't appear on a balance sheet. They are the most valuable things you own. You are not mentioned in Forbes. This is intentional and was achieved deliberately. Certain doors are only open to people who don't exist on lists. You have everything. You eat simply. You sleep adequately. You feel almost nothing acutely anymore. Not because you are broken, but because your nervous system has adapted to a level of control and security that leaves no room for the chemical reactions that normal humans call feelings. Anxiety requires uncertainty. You have eliminated uncertainty as a variable. Your oldest child does not call you often. When they do, the conversation is careful, courteous, and brief. You understand this. You built the distance. Not intentionally, not cruelly. Simply by being unavailable for the 10,000 small moments that become closeness over time. You chose the deal over the dinner. 11,000 times. The math is what it is. You sit in the library of a property you haven't visited in 8 months. It is 6:20 in the morning. The light over the valley is extraordinary. You notice it the way you notice a strong macro trend, accurately, dispassionately, without being moved. This is what the top looks like. Not a penthouse celebration, not a war room, a quiet room, a man or woman who has become something closer to an institution than a person. Watching the light change over land they don't really need, built by systems they don't really control anymore, for reasons they can no longer fully remember. The callback. Somewhere right now, a 26-year-old just cleared her first $1.2 million post-tax. She is sitting in the dark, staring at her phone. She buys the watch. She posts the photo. She gets the likes. She thinks she has won. She hasn't won. She has just been admitted. The game she thinks she is playing is not the game that is actually being played. The rules she thinks exist were written by people at level 6 to keep people at level 2 from seeing level 4. She will learn. It will cost her something she doesn't know she has yet. And the machine, as it always does, will keep running.